I'm Mick. I play guitar. Hello.
I'm Terry. I'm the vocalist.
Megan, bass.
Yeah, all drums and where my ruin.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that the new album is really the first My Ruin album as a band album as opposed to like a solo project?
Yeah, definitely.
That's exactly right.
Right. So I mean, what was the inspiration behind like moving away from doing it as say a solo thing to a band? Why did you want to get it set up as a band?
Well, I mean, I liked touring the last record, but it was like with hired musicians, you know, and what real point is that if you're gonna do it, you know? I wanted to do a record by myself because I thought it would be cool. I could experiment without the guys in Torsicana. They would never have done some of the songs that were on Speak and Destroy. I would never have been able to do some of those songs. But at the end of the day, I really liked the harder stuff that was on that record, you know? And I think that after I toured, and Megan toured that record with me, I wanted to like still work with her, and we talked about, well, let's make this a band. And then I met Mick, and he came in the picture and just had all this killer music and ideas, and the two of them collaborated, and we collaborated, and it was just, it kind of just snowballed.
Kind of evolved into it.
Yeah, and we got asked to do a record, and Yell came in later. Chris Hamilton from Dance actually drummed the record. Mick had programmed all the drums and stuff, and kind of did all the music.
Yeah, in the pre-production.
Right.
Like everything was ready. The songs were all written before we went in to do it, and so we hired Chris to come in and play the drums because we didn't have a drummer.
And then we auditioned for drummers after that because we didn't really want Chris, you know, as part of My Ruin. And we auditioned drummers. I'm sorry, I'm very hoarse at the moment. And Yell came in, and she was great. She blew us away. She was an awesome player. And so now it's kind of like the real lineup, you know. So
how long have you actually been like doing it live together?
Well, Yell's anniversary was yesterday, 4 months.
4 months.
So,
4
I'd say 4 months.
And we celebrated.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Sounds like it as well.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, you
looks
can
like it.
celebrate again tonight.
That's right. It's going to be a late one tonight.
Yeah, well, 4 a.m. So, I mean, how would you say that like the new album differs from the previous one? I mean, was it a deliberate thing to go for a different direction, or did it just? Is it again?
Well, the previous one was a little bit non-cohesive because so many places it was, you know, recorded and so many people recorded it. So it had this kind of collage vibe, you know, all these different things mixed into one. I think if one person would have done it in one band, same songs, it could have sounded a lot more cohesive. The new record is just completely a different animal, you know.
It was deliberate because it was written by different people. You know, this record was written, you know, by us, and then her last record was written by a bunch of different people with her, produced by a bunch of different people, and you know, has great songs on it. But we just deliberately wanted to go more for what was the heavier side of Speak and Destroy, like Blasphemous Girl, Sick With It, Sycophant. Those are the songs that we do live off that record.
And the band plays them amazing. Like, the band has a definite sound now. My Ruin has a sound. I don't think it sounds like new metal or all these different things are out there right now. We have our own little entity, I think. And when they play songs that they didn't write off the last album, it sounds like they wrote them. I mean, it sounds like it's part of what we're doing. It doesn't sound like all of a sudden we're doing weird songs, you know, that don't go in. So.
Yeah, you were just mentioning labels there. I mean, do you have any label that would describe what you do? I mean, I always think musical labels are so pointless, but yet people like to have them. And
it just depends on how general you want to. It's like, you know, you could generalize it and say it's metal, you know, or you could say, well, there's elements of, you know, stoner rock and metal and hardcore and rock and roll, but you know, it's a combination of all of our influences.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as soon as you label something, it restricts you to just doing that.
We just rock.
Yeah, you know.
That's good.
Megan likes to say our music is, she describes it in 3 words.
I do?
No faults metal. That's our little that should have been our t-shirt for this tour, really.
Death.
Because that just...
Wasn't that Manowar?
Yeah, was it?
Somebody used
They're
that.
mad as fuck, so there you go.
Yeah, maybe you should like come out wearing a little furry caveman outfit.
We're not gonna like. No,
Next question.
Okay. I just think that the music, you know, there's seems to be two main themes. Seems to run through what you're doing, which is like honesty and kind of religion. Those are two things that are not really associated with a lot of rock bands. I mean, most rock bands wouldn't know honesty if somebody came and hit them with a potato. and religion isn't something that people are supposed to acknowledge having any interest in. So I mean, why is this so important?
Well, I just think, I mean, the religious aesthetic in writing lyrics is always there. It's always going to be there. I had a little bit of that in Manhole. Manhole was, you know, a different breed of what I do now. You know, it's just a little more politically aware, socially aware. But I've always had this sort of religious undertones all through my lyrics. And the imagery, obviously. You know, I'm an artist. And I like putting certain religious imagery around the band. You know, I don't want to do anything to offend anybody. You know, I'm not going to write Jesus was a cunt on a shirt, because that's not what I'm about. That's not what this band is about.
That's just too easy as well.
You know, it is. I think it's a little scarier. To me, I think a shirt that says Jesus is a cunt, I'm not dissing Cradle of Filth, you know, I'm just saying, or Jesus was a rock star. That's a little more like, what? What are you talking about? Like, or what, like...
Well, you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, it's like
Jesus was, you know, he was
exactly
the first huge celebrity, and man, what staying power, you know, he's still a celebrity.
Yep, and he's a lot more scarier, I think, than Satan nowadays, because, like I told Greg, watch, this whole Jesus thing is suddenly going to become fashionable. It's true. Now I'm seeing it, and I'm like, Satan's just played out. It's like, all right, you know, most people are more scared of the church and scared of that whole end of things and the other. So
yeah, whether you take the Bible literally or you use it as like morals to live by, or you know, despise it, it still like tells a hell of a story, and it's shocking, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that she uses that imagery to paint, you know, a vivid picture, you know.
I don't really like to refer to people in the sense of those people. I like to do, like, you know, the Virgin Mary, Mary Magdalene, God, you know, in sort of biblical forms. I guess I have a lot of influence by Nick Cave underneath my stuff. You know, I'm not a goth chick. It's not where this is coming from. But I just think that people like Nick Cave, he's got an incredible vision for using imagery and for using, you know, certain things that are very scary and violent and very sexual and very, you know, all these different things. So.
Yeah, well, as Dave was saying, you know, the Nick Cave cover was incredible, and I love that track anyway. You know, I love Nick Cave. You know, he's a real genius.
It was a really scary thing to do that track, and it was, you know, being a fan of somebody. That's probably one of the only people I'm like a fan of, you know, and like I think is really just amazing and knocks me out, you know, and to go and cover something like that, it's pretty scary. You know, and because you don't want to like just fuck it all up and have someone go and you just butchered that shit. But a cover is what a cover is. It should be your interpretation. Yeah. It shouldn't be you covering it then inviting the singer to come sing with it on you, you know, or whatever. It's your interpretation. And to me, you know, like Mick took all the piano parts and put them into guitar parts. I mean, you know, we kind of did it a little different, and
we did it the way it feels comfortable for us.
For us to make it a My Ruin song, you know. And
probably like any band would do with the cover.
Exactly.
It's getting over on the crowd too.
Yeah.
People reacting to that song probably a lot differently. I think a lot of bands have that. You know, Zeppelin wrote "Stairway to Heaven." They were like, "It's a shit song. You know, it's never gonna go anywhere." To this day, it's like a classic song. I mean, it is a Nick Cave song, but like the My Ruin version of it is pretty classic to our fans.
Exactly. You know? It doesn't sound like it's out of place on the album.
Kids, little girls that come to our shows have told me, I don't even listen to Nick Cave, but after I heard that Nick Cave in your show, I went and bought his records, and he's really cool. And I'm like, well, that's great.
Yeah.
You know, I got turned on to Nick Cave late. You know, I wasn't like a big fan. You know, I didn't, you know, and so I'm like a late bloomer to that whole thing, birthday party and everything. And so if I can open it, you know, here's our joke. If I can introduce Nick Cave to young girls, that's great.
She's gonna pimp Nick Cave to underage women.
Okay.
Yeah.
It never came out right when I said it one time. So.
Yeah, we won't really go.
Jokes, of course.
Of course, yeah.
He's actually a scary guy. Actually, I had the luck to tour with him like 4 years ago on this Big Day Out tour in Australia.
I have that on video.
He is one very charismatic guy.
He's very old school charming. He's very, I could tell by his interviews, he's very like old school. You know what I mean? Like just cool and very.
Very cool.
Yeah, there's something real cool about him. It's kind of scary.
But you have an interesting choice of covers, and it's obviously got like a Black track as well, Tainted Love. So I mean, what makes you want to cover somebody else's song in the first place, and why those particular?
Tainted Love actually was just kind of a weird accident almost. I wasn't covered a Nirvana song in Past Band, covered a Cro-Mag song. I've covered these strange songs, but Tainted Love just came about in a weird way, and I like the line, "I'm sorry I don't pray that way." That was the line that did it for me. I don't know why, but Black Flag, I had heard mixed version with his old band Movement, and he was singing it, actually. And I was like, fucking hell, is awesome. And it sounded rock, not so punk, but not so raw and punk, but really rock and heavy. And when we went to do the record, you know, we're both Rollins fans, and we were like, he's awesome. And, you know, I thought, let's do something something that we both kind of like and really different. And the funny thing is, both Henry Rollins and Nick Cave are like friends, and like they're very similar,
writers,
you know. So it's kind of weird, but I think we do both the songs live, and you know, one's very beautiful and loving and evil and creepy, and the other one's just fucking balls out in your face, and it's just it sums up my ruin, you know. Yeah. Those two songs sum up this band. And I think, like, as far as, like, the fucking intensity and then the mellow, pretty kind of religious thing.
Yeah. And all the other songs that we had.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those helped too.
Yeah. No, it was definitely pretty exciting me listening to that, because it's like, well, it's like two songs by artists that I really like, and they're both like, I mean, I got into those artists really. I actually got into those from listening to Lydia Lunch, and then you kind of introduced me to Henry Rollins, and it's like, whoa, it's like, yeah, exactly. You know, two completely different kinds of numbers, but you know, you can see a definite connection there.
Cool.
So I mean, when it comes down to the level of honesty and you know, people not bullshitting, but telling the truth, I mean, that's you know, it is kind of confrontational for musicians who want to do that, because you know, those are not the kind of emotions that people expect to hear. You know, especially kind of you know, we can call it metal music or whatever.
Well, that's why we say honesty is the holiest disease, you know. It's because a good explanation for that phrase.
Well, it's like dishonesty is so common now, but it's like honesty is almost like a disease. You're honest and people are like, what? You know, you told the truth. Yeah. You know, it's like, you can't say that. It's like, well, you know, why not? That's how it is.
We just did. You know what I mean? And what we did.
That's why we like Rollins and Nick Cave, you know. And
Rollins says what he feels. So does Nick Cave.
You know, that's how our music is, you know. That's how her lyrics are. It's all honest. It's all from the heart. And, you know, the people who get it are going to get it. Big time. And the people who don't are probably going to hate it. And, you know, whatever.
No, I was just thinking, you know, this is probably why you have certain members of the music press.
It's a very controversial deal here, I think. And you know what? I would rather it be a little controversial and a little, like, strange, you know what I mean? Like, people either really adamantly hate me or really adamantly kind of go the other way. You know, it's like, it's a weird thing, you know. There's not a lot of in between with this band. You either get it or you don't, and that's cool. I don't want everyone to love my ruin. What fun would that be? What, really, you know? But at the same time, it's like, if you're gonna diss us on our ability, on our lyrics, our music, our show. Don't diss us on the fact that I've gained 10 pounds. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's bullshit.
Which you haven't.
But that's bullshit. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That has nothing to do with it. And unlike, you know, I said before, it's not the weight of the band physically, it's the weight of the band, you know, the weight of the fucking band. And this band weighs a hell of a lot like that, you know, and that's what it's about.
I mean, it seems like the music press still has a lot of fear of, you know, female musicians as well, even after all this time.
Fear of vagina.
Yeah, and you know, but they'll still talk in terms of, you know, they'll be really, you know, oh, you know, we're kind of really modern, we're kind of really, you know, politically correct or whatever phrase they want to use, but then
they still won't put a woman on the cover after 6 years.
Yeah,
they still won't do anything.
But it's like, I saw a rock calendar recently, and it was like, you know, magazine puts out a rock calendar with all the different, each month there's a different band, and all the bands that are fronted by women singers, they just put a picture of the woman. But all the bands that, you know, are you know, like just bands fronted by a male, you know, they put the whole band.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why is that?
It's
you know?
bullshit.
It's like,
they're
these are
doing it.
bands
They're
too.
perpetrating the crime right there.
Right.
It's the press that's perpetrating the crime against us, as far as I'm concerned. Because we don't go, okay, well, you can only have a picture of me, and that's it. You know, it's them going,
It's
we
totally
don't want.
the opposite.
You know,
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
us having to fight to get the whole
Terry
band
fights
in.
tooth and nail to get us all in the same
That's
together.
what I was just thinking. I mean, it must be pretty hard for you to even get the press to want to acknowledge the rest of the band at all.
Well, they're gonna fucking acknowledge it
Yeah, I
after this
think
tour. I'll
after
tell you
the
that
tour,
right now.
it's gonna
There's
be-
no way they can't ignore it anymore because the band simply rocks. It's like if the band sucked, then you know I used to be in a band with guys that they weren't those guys. They didn't want to be. I don't know. They just weren't right for me, and it wasn't meant to happen with that band. But that band taught me something. It taught me what I wanted, and I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot from it, and I became a better frontwoman from it. So, you know, I got musicians now that completely stand next to me on stage. They don't stand behind me. Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So,
So do you think the music business is inherently sexist, or is it just certain
the
aspects?
world is sexist.
Yeah.
The world is. It's not
But it
just
seems,
music.
I found that the music business seems to be, you know, I really hate music journalists because I've met so many of them that they're also kind of hung up in their own little images, their own, you know, it's like we can only like what's cool this week, and then when it stops
It's
being
cool to like Snot now that Lynn died.
Right.
That's not cool. It's cool to like Snot or Lynn Straight talk about him because all these big rock stars are on a tribute record. It's not what the tribute record should be about. It's not about Corey from Slipknot or Fred Durst. And now it's suddenly cool for Kerrang and Metal Hammer and all these magazines to put Snot in. Everyone's on their listening chart. What the fuck wasn't on your listening chart 3 years ago when it came out? You know, I remember talking about Snot then. It's like, oh, that's bullshit. You know, it's always what's cool at the moment.
Politics.
You know, totally. So we're not really looking to be cool at the moment.
Well, exactly.
No, it's
I mean,
not.
I guess, you know, the last thing you want to be is like, you know, this year's cool band because then
You
It
fucked.
won't be next year's.
yeah, and also, you know, there's going to be a huge reaction against you then just when people are thinking, well, you know, they're getting so much hype, it must be because, you know, they're useless. You know,
We're useful.
We don't
Useful,
want, we don't
not
want,
useless.
we don't want to be Hollywood's must-hear band of the season.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Flavor of the week.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, here today and gone later today. So.
We,
Yeah.
we do it because we love what we do, you know? Flat out.
So, but I mean, that's, you know, again, that's kind of unusual. It's like touching back to that honesty thing because people, you know, there's so many bands out there who are just obsessed with the image all the time. I mean, does image mean anything? Do people want to try and put some kind of an image on you? Or
Sure.
is-
Well, I mean, I think it's good to have an image when you're in a band. You know, I would like to go see a band that gets up there and has, you know, a cool vibe. You know what I mean? I don't think an image like dressing up like Mudvayne is cool. You know, that to me is an image that's retarded. And it takes away from their music because I guess they're a really good band. You know what I'm saying? I've heard they're a really good band, and so I'm like, wow, I could never, as a person going to see them, the image would turn me off completely before I could listen to the music. I couldn't get beyond it. I don't want to know a record because I look at them and go, I look like clowns. Well, I can't even relate to this. But it's like, but I hear they're really good. So it's kind of like, you know, you don't need all that. System of a Down, amazing band.
Yeah.
Played with them for years, saw them for years, you know, and then you see them in magazines all painted up. And I'm like, I know these guys. What are you doing? You know, it's like, you don't need that. If you think that you need that because of whatever, it's like that's what everybody's putting on you. I don't think, you know, I mean, we look like what we are. You know what I mean? Megan's never going to don a dress and heels. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
But yet Terry's into, you know, glamour to a certain degree.
And that's okay.
That's how she is, you know, and we all want to present something that's interesting to watch, you know, but it's not because we don't sit back and go, okay, in the third bar of that song, let's do this together, you know, or, you know, whatever.
We obviously we like to look
We did
good when we
come
go
up
on
with something
stage.
last
Obviously we
night.
like to look like, you know, we like to go out there and give a show.
Blasphemous.
You know, we're giving a show. We're not going to sit and wear our pajamas on stage or whatever. But it's like,
It's fun to rock out.
It's fun to rock out. It's
you know?
fun to fucking get dressed up and do your thing, but it's not, to me, it's not, put it this way, the easiest way to describe it. Who you see sitting right here is the 4 people that are going to get on stage, and they're going to do their thing, and after the show in the club, we're going to be the same 4 people. We're not putting on a costume to get on the show tonight, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just...
I think it makes it easier for people to relate to you also that way.
Yeah,
Because it's like, you're talking to us now, you talk to us after the show, you're still talking to us.
You're
It's
talking to
not like-
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that is part of that whole honesty trip. You know, it's not a trip that we're on about it. That's who we are.
Yeah,
You know.
I just think, the bands who dress up, it's almost like they're frightened to meet.
I don't
To
have
reveal
that
who
much
they really
problem.
are.
Well, see, that's the thing.
They're hiding behind something,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, we're literally hiding behind
Everybody
masks.
hides behind their own mask, you know.
Yeah.
And somebody recently said to me, it wrote online at a certain major website for a magazine, well, the reason we would never put you on the cover is because you don't sell any records and you're not a big enough star. Slipknot are big enough stars and they're honest and real in their music. They don't hide behind anything. And I mean, what?
Slipknot are totally
They're
rad.
amazing. I
They're,
love
they're
them.
amazing.
But
Yeah, I saw Slipknot here.
But the fact is, they're 9 guys in masks and outfit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're amazing, and I'm not dissing them in any way. But the bottom line is to compare us to Slipknot, they're 2 different animals. And you can't say that Slipknot are honest and My Ruin is dishonest. Do you know what I mean? That's like a joke.
Well, it's a meaningless comparison anyway, because, it's not the
Nothing
same,
the
not the
same.
same band,
It's
you're not doing the
ridiculous.
same
It's
thing.
totally different.
So, it's everybody, I don't know. I just like the fact that I have a band that doesn't feel like we don't have a guy here going, I need to, paint my fingernails, put on makeup, and look like a big fucking new wave alien whatever.
They can wear the makeup. I'm not going to wear any makeup.
And you know what? And we're
I'm not
women,
into
and
it.
we can wear makeup, and it's okay. Makeup is fine, It's
Yeah.
like, so the fuck what? You know what? We're not putting fucking dots on our faces and, some of these contacts in our eye. Certain people should be arrested for as Megan says, the fake second-hand generation contact wearing.